I ran today. The reason why I ran today is because I can't stop thinking about running. It seems really simple, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes when you run. We often talk about compound exercises. What does compound mean? It means there are several joints involved in the movement. Squats, deadlifts, bench press. They're compound movements because there are several joints being used. Like with the squat, ankle, knee, hip, that's being used. And you can also say that a lot of other joints are being used in your spine. There's lots of different joints in your spine which you're stabilizing. Compound. Would you say running is a compound exercise? What's not being used in running? I can't think of anything that's not being used. Everything is being used. Everything. So you could probably say it's the most compound exercise because you're using literally every joint. Ankle, knee, hip. There is a rotational movement of the spine as well. Shoulders, elbows, wrists, fingers. Everything's being used like you're running. And there are many reps when you run. Now, the only thing with running is that it's a very sub-maximal force being used. So, you can deadlift 260 kilos, but you are not using that much force through the hip extension portion of running. But there's lots of other stuff being used. It's not just because it's a compound exercise. You do all of these compound exercises like, posterior chain stuff, anterior chain stuff, lots of different things with the barbell. And, barbell lifts are very, very good. They're much better than machines. But I don't know how much of lower leg musculature you're using. You can do calf raises, you can do tib raises, you can do all of that. But when you start running, you're using the lower leg musculature in combination with everything else above the knee. And if you're thinking about a bang for a buck, I don't know if there's anything more efficient than running. Now, running in my time, I've done a lot of running in my time. Played basketball and soccer before I even touched the barbell, before I even saw a barbell. That's all I knew, team sports. So I was quite good at running. I'm not talking about marathon running. I'm talking about, basketball-specific stuff, soccer-specific stuff. Run, first step, second step. Like those were the things I was concerned about, being fast, being quick. So I can intercept the pass. I can, beat my opponent going left, going right, all that stuff. That's kind of what I was thinking about. But you did all of these things when you played team sports without thinking about them. Like you just want to beat the man to the spot. But there's so much more stuff involved, man. For some of you guys that haven't played team sports, they haven't played any sports, and you just kind of went into the gym and started moving around weights, you might not understand this, but if you spend any amount of time away from a sport like basketball, right? You don't play for 2 or 3 weeks, and you come back and you go on a pickup basketball, you play 3-on-3, or you go to the first training session or first whatever, proper kind of live game. I've felt this many times before, but the amount of soreness that you feel throughout the body is, you can't even describe the amount of soreness you have. I'm talking about abs, obliques, calves, quads, hamstrings. Everything's sore. Like muscles that you don't even know you had, they're sore because you're moving the body through space in 100 different ways. It's not just this linear relationship of taking a back squat from the top to the bottom, back up to the top. It's just, you can't name the amount of structures that are involved in running, dashing, changing direction. These are the thoughts that I had in the last week or so. Yesterday I kind of said that I watched some of the best runners of all time, Kipchoge, marathon runners. And I'm thinking to myself, could I benefit from this? So today I came in and I decided to go for a run. I have not run in a very long time, and I'm very well aware that this can hurt. This can hurt like it hurts when you don't play basketball for 3 weeks and you come back to it. Well, how about you don't play it for a year and a half? You don't run at all for a year and a half. Sure, I've kind of run after my kid in backyard, front yard, and parks and whatever. But I'm talking about jogging. It's a different thing. So I decided to go for a run. and I ran for about 500 meters. Yes, 500 meters. That's a freaking joke. I was even embarrassed to think to myself, okay, I'm going to run 500 meters. The reason why it's not a joke is because I'm almost 100 kilos. The last time I gave any attention to running, I was probably 80 kilos. So the structure between, let's say, the knee and the foot hasn't seen me running with this additional 20 kilos. And you think to yourself, so what? The Achilles is not expecting that. Neither is the foot. So I start running. After 250 meters, I start to feel tension in my Achilles, in that kind of just above the Achilles, that maybe tying between the Achilles and the soleus and the gastrocnemius. I start feeling tension. I'm like, oh man, 250 meters in, I start to feel it. And I'm very, very in tune with what's going on. I'm thinking about it. I'm focusing on it. So I run 500 meters. I'm like, that's way enough. I felt warm. I felt good. Surprisingly, I just felt good running. You know what I mean? It felt good running. I was running very slowly, like jogging, right? I go to the barbell and I start moving and I felt ready. I felt ready. My calves felt loose. My hips felt loose. I was just much more comfortable to hit depth in the squat than normal. And I've tried many different warming up techniques, movements before squatting in these years. Many different, like foam rolling, hip circles, calf raises, marching, lunging, RDLs, block pulls. I've tried, you name it, leg raises, lying leg raises, hanging leg raises, crunches, sit-ups. I've tried all these different ways. Activate this muscle, activate that muscle, and then go squat and see how it feels when you do that. I think running is the best of all of them. I've only done one day, and I feel like everything that I need in the squat, I've warmed up. And I didn't do 100 freaking exercises to do that. I just ran. The range of motion is very limited in the hip, in the knee, in the ankle, everywhere. But I felt fresh. I felt good. I felt ready. Obviously, when you run, heart rate goes up, rest rate goes up, blood gets circulated in all these muscles, and then you're kind of ready. Your full body's ready. So I like that. I liked it so much that I went to squat, had a pretty good squatting session. I hit 180 kilos. Now, my max is 182 and a half. I was able to hit 180. That's a very, very high percentage of my max I was able to hit today. So it didn't cramp. It didn't inhibit me in my strength, albeit it's 500 freaking meters, but it didn't do anything negatively to my strength, which is something that I was very, very intrigued to see. I wonder where that tipping point is. I cannot run 10 kilometers now without hurting myself. But at some point in the future, if I continue to do this, I can see myself running 10K. Will 10K impact my squatting? I think yes. Why? Why will that impact my running? Which muscle is fatigued? Or is it the central nervous system is fatigued? Maybe the energy sources, the glycogen stores in the muscles are depleted. That's why you can't exhibit the force. That's something I'm willing to experiment with. We all know you don't do cardio before strength work. Usually it's the other way around. But if you use a run to warm up, rather than using the run as the exercise, as like a main portion of your workout, that changes things. You're using the run as a warm-up. Then you squat, and then you come back to it if you want to run some more. I came back after my squatting and my push pressing, and I wanted to run again. I ran another 500 meters. Now, I can run many more meters, but I was very, very worried about that whole foot Achilles complex. I am bouncing 100 kilos on this leg, on that leg, on this leg, on that leg. I'm not ready for that. And neither is the structures around the foot. My history is I've rolled severely both ankles, 1 year apart. The first time on my left, I fractured the fifth metatarsal in my foot. I fractured that bone after a really, really nasty roll. Next year, I rolled my right ankle and I ruptured 3 ligaments in my ankle. Both ended me in moon boots. Both took about 8 weeks to recover from. When you snap yourself up that bad, you get on the moon boot, you start doing all that stuff. It takes a little while. Both of the times I had basically high ankle sprains, which I had swelling up the freaking shin bone. It was bad. This is Ivan, after starting to train a little bit, putting on a little bit of mass, stopping basketball completely, going back to basketball, Snap City, because I'm heavier. And around this time as well, I don't know, I've mentioned this a few times, I was actively trying to mobilize my ankle using voodoo flossing, using distraction, band distraction, joint distractions, really laying into the whole ankle joint, really stretch the Achilles, the calf, so I can squat ATG and upright. That was that phase of my life. Went to play basketball and I snapped my ankles because I was stretching something that was weak, stretching something that wasn't ready. Then I went to play basketball, jump up, land, snap. Everything falls apart. There was instability in the joint that I was stretching. So I'm very, very mindful of my ankles, very mindful of my lower leg musculature. And I think running can offer me lots of benefits. I think it will increase my dorsiflexion. It's a great warm-up by the looks of it. And it's a great supplement to my calf raises. That's the thinking right now. I'll continue to think about this. I'll continue to probe this. 500 meters before my squat did nothing. I was still able to squat very, very well today. So there's nothing in there right now to make me concerned, to make me want to stop running. I had a lot of fun today and I will run tomorrow again. I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.